At 36, her sexual marketplace value is very, very low. And most men do not find her desirable. But here is the biggest issue with all of this. I made reference to something that I said was a sensitive statement to make, but a true statement nonetheless. Men group women into two categories. Whenever we meet a woman, wives and fun girls, or what we call fuck girls. We meet a woman and we say, this is a woman I can take back to meet my mother. This is a woman I can take back to meet my father. This is someone I can take seriously. Or we say, no, I'll play with her, but I never will marry her. Once a woman has had a child, you automatically position yourself in this group, which is the reason why the easiest target for men are women who have had children, or women who have children. The reason is because once a woman has a child, there is a biological relationship that exists. All she cares about is the children. And most men who are in the market to play and want sex know that she's had sex before. But her priority is the kids, which means her priority will never be on the man, which is perfect for guys who are looking to play the field, because all they can do is present themselves as good men, possible stepfathers. The woman is desperate for a male figure. She's desperate for some structure. She's desperate for some support. So she finds the man attractive. He sleeps with her, then he runs away. But he always has a good excuse. The excuse is your kids. And guess what? The woman sympathizes with that excuse. So between 18, a girl who's had a child, all the way to 36, she has 18 years of being used for sexual purposes by men. Why? Because she made the mistake of having a child out of wedlock. On the other hand, a woman who is 18, who is unmarried, has a pool of older men to choose from, or rather, she has older men she can present herself to so that she can be chosen. Now, the point of today's session is to simply say the decisions we make affect our value. And ladies, especially the younger you are, the higher the possibility that you will make mistakes, or that you would unfortunately bring a life into the world. Now, whilst this is hard, or maybe hard to take in, recognize that, and let me touch on something that's also quite sensitive. You have choices to make. No child in this country, in England, is born without being chosen to be born. The reason I say that is, in this country, we have more than a dozen birth control remedies, prophylactics, and medication. We have different levels of contraceptions, both for the man and the woman. We have contraceptions that you can take after you've had sexual intercourse, the morning afterwards, a few days afterwards, a few weeks afterwards. And abortion is something that is highly practiced in this country. And therefore, if a woman decides to carry a baby to term, 9 months, and have a child, then she made that choice. She must therefore live with the consequences, the constraints, which will lead to her making a trade-off. One of such a trade-off is that you end up choosing a man to whom, had it not been for the mistake you made or the choices you made, perhaps you may not have selected that man as a life partner. So keep that in mind. There is a hierarchy in relation to what men prefer. Men generally want women who are single, women who are attractive because we're visual, but women who have a reproductive fertility value that is still high. And we want usually young women, women between the age of 18 all the way up to 28, preferably. That 10-year period or 11-year period is the ideal preference. 18 to 20 is seen as too young. 18 to 22 is also seen sometimes as too young. But from 20 to 23, all the way up to 27, which is the second stage, a woman has had the time to go through her teenage process, travel the world if she wants to, go through education, go through university, get a degree, and then she can begin. She's also even had, at 22, she's also had the opportunity to have graduated and maybe worked for 1 year, so she's gone into the job market. And then at 23, she can decide that she might start taking the idea of starting a family more seriously. She doesn't have to make that decision then. She has between 23 and 27. The focus for most women should always be to consider that by 23, you should start taking the decisions of what you want in relation to family, take that seriously, so that by 27, ideally, you're married. By 32, you've completed all of your childbearing process, so that from 32 onwards, preferably from 30 onwards, you can start living life with your husband. You can start to get back into, maybe getting back into a job, starting a career, giving yourself time to recover from the trauma, the experience of having children, giving your body time to recover, retraining yourself to becoming whoever you want to be, so that you're not really defined as a mother only if you find that to be problematic. Now, I hope that's been useful.